We're going to be kind of building a new keyboard, a new PCB keyboard that's pretty much based on my first ever PCB keyboard, the Scotto34. We're going to be building what's called the Scotto48 today. It does have 48 keys, as you can tell from the name, because I'm a genius with naming stuff. And we kind of fixed some issues that people didn't like on the Scotto34, which was basically it didn't have a 6th column and it didn't have enough thumb keys. So we basically did both of those and then added some diode clustering in the middle, which we'll see in a moment what that actually means. I think it looks really good. It's really, really low profile, and it is chalk, so it's 18 by 17 chalk space, which is very, very nice. I like that spacing, and it's very low profile. But with all that, before we actually jump into the video, I do have to give a massive shout out to today's sponsor. Of course, they are Next PCB. They sponsored like my last 5 PCB builds or so, and they are sponsoring this one yet again. They have really, really high quality PCBs and pretty affordable prices, along with like options that other manufacturers don't typically have, like yellow and matte black silkscreen, which is kind of nice. Although I typically just stick to the white and the black silkscreen, which is what I did for this one. We'll see that when we actually jump into the build. And then they also have like really robust part sources. So if you need to build a PCB with like little surface mount components on it, you can kind of just tell them the part you need, they'll find it for you and then send you like pictures of it in manufacturing before building the whole thing to make sure it's correct. So it just makes it really easy to kind of get up and running with that. But with that, I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. I'll just get started with the build. So this right here is the Scotto48, and as I already mentioned, it has 48 keys. There's 24 on this side and 24 on this side in this nice kind of split ortholinear layout. We'll have our controller mount in the middle. This, of course, is some plexiglass, which we will take a look at that because it looks really, really cool once it's mounted on there and it has like a cool cutout for the controller. It looks really nice. I'm actually really happy with how this came out. But we're just going to kind of break this down. We do have our little plates here, very, very thin. And then inside, we actually have 2 PCBs because if I didn't already mention, this is available on my website if you want to buy one and build it yourself, just like the original Scotto34 was. But it comes in both black and white, depending on what you want. So you can get a white PCB here if you want, which kind of looks nice. I might actually build it with the white one. I haven't decided yet for this, or I might just use the black one and make it fully blacked out, which I think is probably what I'm going to do because I kind of printed everything to go around this here. It looks really, really nice. And then in the middle here, we have our diodes for what I'm calling diode clustering because it's going to basically be all exposed in the middle. You kind of see how they all run into the middle there and just kind of connect to the diodes. It looks really cool in the end product. But yeah, those are the 2 PCBs there. The options you kind of have for that. I think I'm going to go with the black one just because that's kind of what I pre-planned here. And then of course we do have the case right here, which is just in some black PLA. Then on the bottom we have all these little cutouts on. And the reason we have all those is that when you solder stuff to the PCB, so when you solder stuff on here, there's going to be parts like poking out of the back. I kind of made these little recessed sections in there where the components will sit in there, and then it keeps it super, super thin. Basically this PCB here, it actually sits on the bottom of the case, so it like sits flush in there. And then I also had to make like a cutout for the USB port in order so it could plug in once it's actually mounted. So there's kind of a lot of things I had to think of in order to do that, and we'll talk about them throughout the build. What we have to do first on this is we're just going to start by soldering all the diodes. On here, there's just a line. So if you don't know how a diode works, there's just a little line on there. Basically the black line on the diode, I have a baggie of them here, I'll show you. There's just a little black line on it. You'll basically bend it, pop it in there, and then solder them to the back. Now the back of the PCB is obviously the one with all the text on it, so this is the back. You're going to want to put your diodes through the top here and then solder them on here. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to do the diodes. I'll be back after that. So there's all the diodes in the PCB here. As you can see, they look really, really nice. And you probably saw a lot throughout that time lapse. I was doing a lot of like back and forth to the front and the back of this, kind of soldering to make them look really clean from the front. Then also the other thing you want to kind of do as you're doing them is kind of move them around and kind of push them before soldering them to kind of keep them all like aligned and looking nice in here, because remember, you're going to see this on the front of the board. Like the back of it doesn't really matter, so it's a little bit messier back here. You kind of want to make it look pretty. But those are the diodes on there. The other thing I didn't mention before soldering that I should have is that over here I have a little magnet with all my diode legs. You're want to save these because you're going to use these to actually socket the controller in a little bit. I would normally put the controller on here, but on this one, I'm actually going to do the switches first. So I have a baggie over here with a bunch of Chalk Pro Reds. I really like these switches. I'm going to do those first because if I did the controller first, when I put this down to do the switches, it would kind of rock like that, which would be a little bit annoying. So by doing the switches first, I'll be able to actually get pressure on everything and keep the kind of plate and switches in level with everything. So that's kind of that. I'm going to grab my plates over here. You'll have 2 of them, one for each side. So they kind of go like that. It's just soldering switches on. They're pretty simple. So I'm going to go through, solder all the switches on, and then we'll talk about socketing the controller, and then we should be able to assemble it and have a functional board. So there's all the switches soldered to the PCB there. You can see they look really, really nice from the front here. We have our cluster diodes, and then we have a blank spot in the middle that is going to be for our controller. Now the controller on this, we're going to actually be using this here, which is an RP2040 Raspberry Pi Pico. It's a little bit different than the normal kind of Pico here. This one's actually a clone, but the main one being is that it is of course USB-C versus the micro USB. This one will work. I mean, they're pin compatible, so you can just swap them out. We're going to be using this one. I sell this one on my store. I highly recommend using this one too, because it has a lot of cool features on it, like a little programmable button here. It has an RGB LED here that will actually indicate what layer you're on. We have another LED up here that I'm actually using for caps lock. Then it also has 16 megabytes of storage, so it has a ton of flash memory for basically doing anything you want with your key map. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually put that down. It's going to go in the middle there, and then we're going to grab these little headers that I'm going to include in the kit here, which basically will be able to sit into here and socket the controller. So if you ever break the controller, spill water on it, blow it up somehow, you'll be able to just unsocket that and kind of replace it. And then the other cool thing I'm doing with these is you see how they have that little like fatter part on there? They actually sit into the PCB. So this is the thing I do with my PCBs, where I design them so they kind of sit flush like that. So it gives it a little bit of a lower profile, where normally they would kind of sit up like that. And these are just through hole soldering like anything else. And what I like to do is actually put them in there, and I'll just grab like a piece of tape and kind of put it over to hold them. I'll just go through and solder those on. And then what I'm going to do with the controllers, I'll put that on top. But first, before doing that, I'm going to do this on a time lapse, so you'll see this. But I have this tape over here. I'll also include it in the kit if you do buy one of these. Basically, you'll kind of want to do this before socketing it. So you kind of cover those up, and this prevents like the solder backflowing into them. I've showed this in a lot of videos. If you want to go back on my channel, look at any of my other PCB builds, because I pretty much socket on all of them. But I'll kind of do that before using my diode legs to kind of poke through there and then hold it in place. So I'll solder it and then desocket it and remove the tape, but that kind of prevents the backflow to fuse those two together if you put the tape in between. But I'm going to go through now. I'm going to solder the controller onto it, and then we can flash the firmware, assemble the case, and we'll have a functional board. So there is our controller socketed in the middle there. I can kind of pop this off because like you saw in the time lapse, I did already pop it off. We just have the little tiny controller here. We have all our pins on the side like that. And if I actually grab this and I grab a cable here, just a little power cable USB-C, and plug it in, what you're going to see is that I did flash firmware on it. So we have a white LED here for our main Mac layer. We have a power LED up here, which you could actually just clip that off if you don't want that. That's just indicating that the board is on. And then this one over here is actually going to turn blue when caps lock is on. But what I don't like about these LEDs is first the big one here. It's a little bit straining on the eye. All the LEDs are kind of straining on the eye, even though they're really low right now. This one you can't change the power or anything on. It's just either on or off. But you know, like when you look at the sun and you get that little line in your vision, same thing happens with this if you're in like a dark room and you look at it. So what I like to do is I actually take either a Sharpie or kind of this, and I like to kind of, this is a paint marker, I take this and just put a little bit kind of on the LED, and it just removes that kind of edge to it. You know, I do the same on this one. You could just snap these off if you wanted to. You could just clip them off with a clipper, but that's kind of the first thing I do. And then the other thing is that we drop that on the table there. This one right here, I actually have that the kit will include is these little diffusers I made. It's basically just a little snap-on piece of plastic. You just take it, pop it on there, and it kind of diffuses that light so it's not as harsh. So you can see kind of now how that looks is a lot kind of simpler, or a lot less straining on the eye. It's more in person, you know, when you have this for real, you'd actually see that. What I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna just pop this into the board there in a moment. I'm gonna grab my black keycaps over here. I'm gonna grab my case over here, and then of course my hardware. I'm just gonna assemble everything in. So in the middle here, there's gonna be standoffs. So we're gonna have these kind of 4mm standoffs. Those will go in the middle 4 holes here. So there'll be 4 holes on the PCB if you can see those. So the standoffs will go in there. And then the edges, there's going to be bolts. There's going to be one here, one here, one here, and then one here. There's going to be these little little M2 nuts down there that you're going to put in the plate side here, and then on the back you're going to have 8 countersunk screws you kind of screw in. And then we can talk about the plexiglass here. I'll probably actually just put that on. It's going to come with this little piece of plexiglass. I'm going to go through, assemble everything in the case, then we'll kind of have some final words on the build. We'll do a typing test, and then that's kind of the entire Scotto48. So there is the fully assembled Scotto48 right there. I think it looks really, really nice in this like all blacked out layout. I think it would have looked cool actually though if I did use the white PCB. It kind of would have looked cool in the middle there, maybe a little bit of contrasting color. It's up to you. If you want to buy one of these on my shop, you can get one and get either PCB and build it. But the thing I want to mention first on this is that these keycaps are actually 3D printed on my printers. These are my own design. They're available on my repo for free to download and print yourself. They're 18 by 18 space. So if you wanted to get those, you can do that along with the case files for the board if you wanted to print it yourself and not buy it from my shop. The PCB, of course, is just on my shop available if you want to buy it from there. But the case files too, you can get them on the repo and print yourself. They do require a bigger printer. They require my H2D because it is kind of a long keyboard here. So that is available on my shop if you want to get a case too. But it kind of looks really, really nice here. It's extremely low profile. As you can see, we have that nice little cutout so the USB will plug into the controller there. We have the back of the keyboard here with our little rubber feet and our screws. Very, very clean look. And the thing with that plexiglass in the middle that I wanted to talk about here is that we see how it's flush here. You see how it's flush with the case. That's why it has that kind of cutout design around the controller there. I want to glue this on because these kind of come off. It's basically just friction fit, but you can just put a little dab of glue to kind of hold that. But it serves two purposes. One, that cutout allows it to kind of keep flush, so you use the thinner standoffs here to kind of keep it thinner like that. But then also you have access to kind of your user programmable button. You have your reset button here. You have your little boot button to kind of access. So it's kind of a dual purpose there. Now, the thing I will say is, of course, don't spill stuff on your keyboard, because if you spill it on there, you can blow this controller and you need to get a new one. That's why we socket it also. If this controller ever dies, you can just pop it out and pop a new one in instead of having to desolder it. So that's kind of the benefit of socketing controllers like that. But I think it looks really, really good. I'm really excited to kind of type on it because these switches feel really nice. It sounds pretty decent for chalkboard. Chalkboards are kind of hard to make sound good normally, but that's pretty good there. I think everything's pretty much ready here. But I want to show you before we actually do the typing test. I'm going to plug this in, and what you're going to see is that we get that LED diffuser in the middle. You can kind of see the difference there. It doesn't really show on video, but in real life, that's kind of eye straining if you look at it. If it's like that, it's not as eye straining. We have our little power LED up there, which is blacked out, so it's a little bit dimmer. And now the first thing I want to show you actually is the caps lock LED. So if I actually hold this key here and then press this button right here, we're going to actually enable our caps lock there. So you see that will go blue. If we turn it off, that'll kind of change it. And you also see the LED in the middle is changing because this is our number layer. Now, I haven't decided exactly on the colors for the layers yet. It's still kind of a work in progress. I will detail all this in the blog post for the keyboard, so you'll actually be able to see like the key map and stuff. I do eventually want to talk about my key map for this because it's kind of thought out for like Colmac and QWERTY and kind of just one key map that will work for pretty much everyone. But we also have our kind of function layer here. If we hold this one and hold this, we'll get to another function layer. And then finally, we do have, like, if you want to do it on Windows, you can press this combo here, and that'll change to blue for Windows. Or if you press this, that'll activate gaming mode, which kind of deactivates some other keys and more advanced things that the key map does. I'm not going to go into detail in this video on the key map. I do eventually want to talk about it separately, but I'm just going to kind of disable that, put it back into Mac mode on white. And that's kind of the fully built keyboard there. Now, what I want to do with this, of course, is this video will not be complete without a typing test. So we're going to take the Scotto48 here. We're going to go do a typing test on it, and we'll have some closing words, and that's kind of the whole build. So yeah, I think it feels pretty good to type on. The sound is a little bit just kind of okay. And like I mentioned, chalkboards aren't always the easiest to get good sound, but I think it looks really, really great. I really like the plexiglass and kind of the diode clustering in the middle, the exposed controller with the kind of little RGB diffuser and how thin it is. And it's just a nice board. I really like this one. It's the evolution of the Scotto34, which was a very popular board on my website that people really liked, and people have been actually asking for it to come back. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a different board and kind of make it the evolution of the Scotto34 because this kind of serves a purpose that I think a lot of people really, really like. So this is the Scotto48. A huge shout out yet again to Next PCB for sponsoring this video. If you need some PCBs manufactured, I'd recommend checking them out down below. And with that, I don't have much else to say here other than thank you for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe as usual, and I'll see you next time.